Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Profit Roadmap podcast. We are the premier podcast for the field service industry, and we are recording live from our annual Service Edge conference. So this is a special podcast recording, and I have a special guest with me. Standing in for Ryan, it's Bear Duplessis. Thank you, my co-host.
It's great to be here. Like I said before, this is a very special opportunity, and hats off to Ryan for letting me actually fill his seat. Those are big shoes. And I'm so excited to be here with you, Becca. And then we've had some great conversations so far, and we're going to sit down and have another one. And I'm really excited to introduce. We have the Kendall brothers, Wes and AJ, here from Omaha Lawn Solutions. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Absolutely fantastic.
Welcome in.
And I am doing fantastic as well.
Very excited for this.
So this is Wes. You were telling me this is your first Service Edge conference, correct?
Yes, this is the first time we've been here.
Oh, wow.
Well, welcome.
A big welcome, yeah. First time in Texas?
We've been to the airport in Texas. Never got out of the airport though, so this is the first time we've been in the city.
Great. How are you liking it so far?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Awesome.
We love the trees here. The way that we're from Omaha, Nebraska, so right now all our trees are red. A lot of them are bare, stuff like that. So these are. It's interesting to see the difference here.
Awesome.
What's your favorite thing about? Are you guys born and raised Omaha, like Nebraska and everything?
Oh,
So what's your favorite thing about Nebraska? I always like to ask that question about the state, not necessarily the city.
I think you have Nebraska Furniture Mart when you say Nebraska, but I know is that a thing? Is
Oh, Nebraska Furniture Mart's always a good time. I'll tell you
Okay.
that.
All right.
But,
Is it better than IKEA? Because I lose myself in IKEA.
I've never been to IKEA, so
Okay.
I have no idea. But
It's
I'll
got to
tell
be
you
better
what,
than IKEA. It has to be.
you'll lose yourself in there too. So
Okay.
it's pretty big.
That's all. Well, what's your favorite thing about Nebraska?
So honestly, my favorite thing, just off the top of my head, thinking about it, it is the massive growth that we get down there in the Midwest. I love the way everything grows. It's beautiful. I'm one of the type of people that I really like mountains. We don't have that there, so it's the nature and the growth that really gets me.
Nice.
I would say I think it's the people. We're home of 5 Fortune 500 companies, I think. And so there's a lot of money. And I even believe that I looked up that per capita, it's actually the highest concentration of wealth. So there's actually a ton of money in Omaha, Nebraska that nobody would ever know. And so there's a lot of opportunity in Omaha for service type businesses and just a lot of cash flow there.
I have a lot of useless knowledge in my head. Becca knows this from working with me for years, so I actually knew that statistic, surprisingly. Yeah. Wes, you and I were actually talking about before we kind of sat down a little bit, and you and AJ have kind of really sat down this year, and you've had a long history with Service Autopilot, using it as a software, a long history with the business, and you were kind of doing the status quo, and then you kind of started going into different mindsets, and then this year it seems to be a mindset of discipline. Is what you were saying. So why don't you walk us through that?
So this year has been it's discipline and personal growth. And honestly, a lot of it comes from AJ doing, he's been kind of doing his own thing with coaching and focusing a lot on personal growth. And, one day me and him just talked about getting in the gym and working out a lot more and kind of focusing on that, which in the past, for me and him, it's been all business, the life and work balance has been basically work and then you sleep. And so we're trying to get more of that life balance in there and trying to perfect that self-discipline on that end.
Sure.
And to be honest, it makes it so much easier to run the business, adversities that come up, things like that. The stress is a lot better to deal with when you're on that growth stage of personal growth.
And I'd add to that by like the exercising and the dieting and actually putting the care on those things. It makes you just the developmental, like personally stronger, like vibrating at a higher frequency. So that way when the problems come in, because they're just always going to come in with any service-based business, really any business.
Yeah, any business.
A lot of the service-based business is very hard and tons of challenges that come. And when you're vibrating at a high state, you're proud that you woke up early, you hit the gym, you're proud of who you are, you're able to stand in the face of that adversity and actually be able to get through it and even just have a more positive mindset about getting through it. You believe in yourself that you can do it. And I think that's kind of the critical thing, is having that there because if you don't have that belief, or if you are not elevated at that higher frequency, when those problems come, they're going to just beat you down, and then it starts to lead to that self-talk that just continues to spiral downward. And that's kind of like where people start to lose it. They make bad choices. They'll take it out on a customer. They'll take it out on an employee. The culture gets all too much friction with the culture. And so, yeah, I think that the mindset was a big part. And then just having that discipline. It's like, hey, we cannot miss the gym. We cannot miss our macros with our dieting. We got to be at this high level because we need to become new people that are able to actually grow an organization to the level that we're trying to grow to.
Well, and what I've noticed with that is when you focus on those things, like I said, the work has always been so important, but the life aspect hasn't been as important to me. When I started focusing more on the life aspect, the work aspect became easier to work.
I was going to read your mind there.
Yeah.
It's got to be easy.
It really, really. I mean, as far as anxiety or depression, things that come up through the day that build and build and build. I think getting that, that physical release in the morning, and also having that discipline to be there, then I start my day off way better, and I'm able to get through my day without dealing with as much adversity as normal. So
it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because in our previous podcast, we were talking about mental health and taking care of your mind. And so I like how you're talking about take care of your body, take care of your mind. And so was there a specific trigger point where you were like, this is why we're going to focus on this issue, discipline and personal growth? Why?
I'll let him talk.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been always, regretful of not being more fit, more like paying attention to my health. Like me and Wes, like he said earlier, we would do anything for the business. Like we would put our families aside. We would miss anything.
32 hours straight.
We would work crazy hours, and I know so many people can relate to this, because it's almost like you have to like experience that, have that problem, and then start to figure out what is going to be my solution to get over this problem. And so that's obviously paying attention to that, and then following a lot of different people on YouTube, and there's a specific person that kind of triggered me into being more accountable to my actual health and mental health too. And then we got started with like a Watson Fit program, and then I got Wes involved. I was like, for some reason this person is calling me out, and I feel like I have to do it. Like it was like
don't leave us hanging. Who is the person?
Wes Watson.
Oh, Wes Watson. Okay.
Yeah. So shout out to Wes Watson. Not that he's paying attention to this, but
I mean, honestly, it was one day me and AJ got to talk, and we constantly talk about business. I mean, that's pretty much all we talked about. And one day, AJ just kind of said like, hey, we should get back into the gym and try to get our lives right. And it just really clicked.
I remember saying, like, it didn't even. Wes would say, "Hey, we got to get this done, like all these things, it's like basically impossible." And I go, "You know what? The number one thing that I care about right now is going to the gym and then doing those things." And it's like a mind shift. It's like a mind shift that has to take place. Like you have to value that personal development over everything else. And I feel like I knew that something had to change, because like we're just going to burn out. Like, this is not going to go anywhere. We're just going to burn out.
And for me, it was obviously AJ helped spark that, but I always heard David Goggins' words in my head, where it's like, if you start out your day with the hardest thing that you could do, the rest of the day is easy. And that is, every day is that. When you go and you get that energy out, then the rest of the day goes a lot smoother.
And so we've been actually like not missing the gym and dialed in on our macronutrients for about 3 months now, and it's been a complete like mind shift. And now I'm like getting into coaching. I'm like getting into different things in my life now.
I think that is the reason that we're here, was that focus.
It's actually the reason we're here.
Being better. Because I know myself in the past, I'd be like, no, that costs too much money. We can't do that. It's going to be time, all those things. And now I'm starting to get into that mindset where I'm like, hey, putting this time in and doing things like this is how we grow as a business.
And we have to become these new individuals. In order to successfully run a multi-million-dollar company, we have to develop ourselves to be that leader. And so we finally pulled the trigger and said we got to get down there. It just doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. We have to do it.
And by the way, we're having a great time. This is awesome, guys.
Good, I'm glad. Would you say for like other small businesses that are listening, or like or in the service industry, like it's important to invest in yourself like this, like the discipline? Like,
100%. I actually would say that you are only going to hit a certain level, and it's going to be a lower level. You're not going to hit your potential if you don't invest into yourself.
Well,
I think that's a really big takeaway.
In this industry, it's very easy to, kind of like what they were saying in there, go into autopilot and just stay in autopilot. And it goes along with kind of what he was saying, where you got to get yourself out of that autopilot to make the changes you need. And that's kind of what we did. We got ourselves out of autopilot, and we're focusing more on the higher side of the business versus the service, just doing the work ourselves, which that's what we've moved out of a lot. So,
has it had any impact on your relationships? I'm curious, like how has this journey like made other people in your life notice the change? Like, I want to get better too, or
as far as respect goes, I mean, honestly, when you talk to people and you're in this new mind state where like basically you're always going to do what's necessary, you command a lot of respect.
That goes back to that discipline where it doesn't matter how you feel. You know it needs done, and you're going to do it. And it's so important that you follow up with what needs to be done, and you're not coming up with an excuse of I don't feel good or this or. We all come up with excuses,
especially with our employees, because obviously to us they might be sick when they called in, but it also could have been an excuse, and maybe they just didn't want to work that day. And that's the difference. Is like I'm telling myself in my head now, there are no excuses, and I want everyone around me that works with us to be that way too, because when you give yourself those excuses, you just get more anxiety in the end anyway.
It's kind of like extreme accountability.
It's extreme accountability, and it makes you a very mentally stable person when you have that.
Where you feel like you have control now, where it's like if you are so accountable, you know everything in your life is the way it is because of you and your choices. You're not a victim ever, and it's just like you actually have power. There's like you command a power that allows you to start to unlock potential that wasn't there before.
It takes away a lot of fear too. There's a lot of fear when you're uncertain, and I don't know what it is about.
That's anxiety.
Yeah,
fear of what is going to come.
Yep. And when you, I don't know, when you're aligned, you know what's going to come.
Well, you don't, but you're confident in what will come.
That's what it is. You're so confident, you think you know, I guess.
You built the discipline.
A lot of time it works.
To do it, like you have that discipline.
Well, it's just like when those things come in against you. Wes, you and I were talking before we sat down, and I thought one of the things that kind of got my ears perking up was about employees specifically, and how, like you said, that you guys are pushing this onto your team as well now too, because like something else would happen in the very beginning of the day, and it would just create this snowball effect of negativity and unproductiveness is not a word, but I'm going to use it. But it just went south so quick, and if you, what you were saying earlier, do the hardest thing first, get it out of the way, it makes the day so much easier. So,
well, and that's honestly even with the employees that when they're out there in the field, I like to put the hardest things first, so that way the rest of their day is a coast. And sometimes they don't like it, I'll admit, but I'm telling you, it's way better if you do the hard things first. You don't want to do the hard things last.
At the end of the day, right?
Trust me.
What happens is people that are like, I'm going to go to the gym after work, they have half-ass workouts.
Yeah, how often
and then they have half-ass results, and then they have a half-ass life, and then it's basically like, why am I not as far as Sally or whoever that they're comparing themselves to?
And a lot of regrets. They'll be there even if you're unaware of them. And so that's kind of what he was saying, where it's like, you might miss those things that you have to do, and you might think it doesn't matter, but it does.
They're going to eat at you. They're going to eat at you at your conscious, and then they're going to make you feel bad, and that's where like the whole depression spiral starts to. You're starting to that self-talk, that negative self-talk, and I didn't do this, and I should have done it. And then you start that negative self-talk. But if you did it, and then you go to sleep proud that you did it, it's a whole new wavelength.
Yeah, there's just no room for the negative.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to sit down and tell us a little bit about where 2023 and into 2024 is going to take your business. Omaha Lawn Solutions. Where can we find people who are wanting to scope your stuff out? Your coaching. I mean, where can people find you?
So I just started my new coaching channel. It's AJ Kendall Coaching, and that's on Instagram. And then we have our Instagram for our company at Omaha Lawnscaping Solutions.
And also, for anyone that's in the Omaha, Nebraska area, you can always check ols@gmail.com. It'll pop up on there, or Omaha Lawnscaping will pop up too. So
terrific.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
this was
you guys
great
are awesome.
to be able to sit down and speak and talk and have this quick discussion. That was awesome.
Absolutely, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy the conference and just get as much as you can out of this. And
it's only day one.
You got something. Yeah.
Well, I'm already elevated just from sitting and having a quick conversation like that. I'm already I can feel the energy rising. So
amazing.
Fantastic.
Awesome. And for our listeners tuning in, thank you for always just being the greatest listeners. And if you want to hear or get the show notes of everything that we discussed in today's show, visit our website at serviceautopilot.com /profit roadmap. And you can email us at profitroadmap@exporttechnologies.com.